Hey, thanks so much for tuning in to Unmaking a Mess, where I talk a lot about my messes and the ones I've been in and have created. And thanks to the grace of God, I'm still here. And so, for that matter, I figure He definitely must have a purpose for me, because I know that without Him, I probably could not have actually made it through all of those messes. Please share and subscribe. I appreciate you guys so very much. This is definitely an outlet for me, and I'm thankful to be able to share it with you. I definitely use this kind of as a platform, and also as an opportunity to just kind of like reach others when they're going through a lot of things that maybe they don't consider other people are going through. This particular recording is one that addresses cancer. And so if you're sensitive to that subject, maybe listen with a little bit of caution. And it also addresses maybe just partly just kind of like how our world is going through a lot of stuff right now and the things that we're facing and how divided we actually have become. So I definitely wanted to get on here and do a recording, and I'm going to get right to it because I actually wrote all this down. As a matter of fact, it is on my website, Unmaking a Mess, and so you can definitely check it out there. I have not read from some of my posts in a long time. Usually I'm just kind of winging it, and this time I'm going to read through it, and we'll see how long it takes. Hopefully not more than 20 minutes, as that's what I'm keeping it to. So thank you so much. Here we go. Okay, so this particular recording has a lot to do with a post that I've seen a few weeks ago now. And it was one that was shared with me by someone just simply because the person that wrote it was someone that we knew, and it was also someone that was kind of a big community supporter and one that gives to funds and fundraisers. And I only bring that up because pretty much like how I figured things out, a lot can go into what you write. And once it's out there, it's positively out there. In this particular case, this person wrote something about Biden's cancer, and probably a couple days later, he tried to retract his words and try to make it better. But once it's there, and your image has been tainted, so to say. The only way to get that back is just by doing different and, regaining some of the respect that you lost after you put those words out there. And trust me, I definitely know all about that because I lost a lot of respect and friendships, or acquaintances, I guess, that could not trust me or things that I said because I was so harsh on social media when I was going through my divorce. I was just... my mind was in a whole different place. So anyway, all right, so I'm going to read to you the original post that was made that was really upsetting to me. And then I'm going to read to you the second post that was kind of his follow-up to try to make up for the first one. And so here's the first one. It says, "The JRB has prostate cancer announcement was just made yesterday. Does anyone else think he was actually diagnosed prior to last summer when he dropped out of the race? I'm guessing his medical team was doing blood work at least quarterly and measuring PSA levels every time due to his position as a president and his advanced age. If the cancer was just discovered, how in the heck did it get to stage 4, spread to bone, so quickly? Maybe a bit of a scandal here?" I'll tell you why that made me happy when I read my reply. That was not to him because we are not friends on Facebook. So his reply talked about, and it was written, I don't know, a few days later. It says, here's a follow-up post regarding the news. I should have showed more empathy about his setback. I wish Biden a full recovery. Some cancers spread very fast. Our Facebook page is a microcosm of America, and that most of my friends are solidly one political camp or the other. True. There's very little in between. Yeah, true again. I don't think my post was especially political, but I guess it was. These things being said, I would like to make a prediction. The prediction is no more weighty or significant. The prediction is no more weighty or significant than predicting who will win the KU K-State football game. Okay, let's stop there for a moment. Not that I want to digress, but this is just hitting me. He's comparing his prediction of someone's cancer to a football game, a college football game. Cancer, who's going to win a football game? Wow. Enough said. His last sentence goes into, if that's the case, it says, when the Biden prostate cancer story runs its course, we'll discover that he was diagnosed while still the president. If that's the case, as an American, not a libertarian, conservative, Republican in that order, I'll be disappointed that we weren't informed of his health change on a more timely basis. He'll be disappointed. Wow. Yeah, it's really affecting him because he's so closely related to Biden, and it's really going to affect him that Biden didn't take the time to send this person a letter to let him know that he was going through a cancer diagnosis while he was still in charge of the U.S. Damn. God, the nerve of Biden. Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine what was going through his head. Like, we should have been like the first to know. Okay, listen, if you're one of those persons out there that is saying, yeah, we should be the first to know, let me just go into the reason why I don't think Biden owes us anything. I want to say something about the post I saw a couple of weeks ago. I've tried to let it go from my mind as much as possible, but even right now, as I wrote this, I wanted to scream or cry. My heart is pounding, and not from the usual anxiety that I feel, but instead from a feeling that I've not felt in a very long time, specifically after each one of my siblings died from cancer. And before anyone says, why not just reach out and tell the person how you feel? Well, I fully intend to do that too. The reason why I want to talk about it here is because you never know a person until they show their face behind a screen. And another reason is not only the person who wrote it, but also the people who follow this person and like the post become part of the problem we have in the country at this time. And that is division, lack of empathy, and cruelty. Also, if you think following a leader or someone like this does not affect you and it all seems good and fine, well, much like the Kansas weather, give it 5 minutes before that changes, and suddenly you'll find yourself caught in the tornado of destruction too. This post is about as insensitive and ignorant as when someone tells a victim of domestic abuse that he or she just needs to leave a relationship. That's not how it is. No abuse is clear-cut. No cancer is clear-cut. I had 4 siblings, and 3 died from cancer, and each one suffered differently. My brother found out he had liver cancer, and I don't think it was 4 months later that he was in the hospital and he died. Yeah, it happens. Who are we to ever decide what is a ploy for attention and when it comes to a deadly illness? I'm ashamed the person who wrote this. appeared to be an upstanding individual in our community. Trust me, once it's on social media, that spreads faster than wildfires before your image is tainted. Yeah, I'm well aware of this, although there are people out there whom others won't stand up to for various reasons. And if you don't feel you can stand up to that person, well, what exactly does that say about you and your connection to them? Maybe you are just an acquaintance of theirs or a friend and you don't agree with something they said. Yet, you do not have the guts to tell them for fear of how that will make you look or how it can damage the connection. Something else I know, if you cannot be honest with someone who you see on a regular basis, or you find it difficult to confront them about a sensitive subject, that means your relationship. Sorry, hang on a second, I lost my place. Oops. That means your relationship with them is not real and it requires more work than it should. Because someone who writes awful words like this does not have compassion for people. So confronting them may not do any good. They may laugh in your face or call you too soft. I personally would rather be too soft and say something to them than allow it to burn my soul, because these days life is too short. And if you have a chance to make a positive difference in your little corner of the world, then I encourage you to do it. We need that more than ever right now. Remember, you never know who is reading what you write and how it can trigger them, let alone hurt them. Someone is always going through something. I suspect the person's life is perfect, the one who wrote the post. They're perfect. So it gives them the right to judge others. Who was perfect and is the only judge that we can trust? Hashtag John 3:16. The other insult to the post is, like many others I see they are a Christian. And it's that kind of talk that damages other Christians and it profiles all of us. I see it now as I work with young adults who are trying to find honest meaning and purpose. I don't want them to look at me and immediately think, as a Christian, I am the one to judge their style, color, or choices. That is not who I am. And thank God for that. I am showing them true love of Christ without even having to speak it. I believe in showing and doing as Jesus did, and that was to love others and stand up for the sick and the oppressed. And pretty much for anyone who feel they cannot have a choice in this country for fear of retribution. Let me repeat that. I believe in showing and doing as Jesus did, and that was to love others and stand up for the sick and the oppressed. And pretty much stand up for anyone who feels they cannot have a choice or a voice in this country for fear of retribution. Digressing for a moment here, I've never been afraid of a president as I am now, which is very sad to say. On a side note, because I thought of that, the fear that I have of the president, I just want to think about that for a moment, and I want you to consider, what exactly does that say when you fear someone who is supposed to be heading an area that you rely on heavily for food, for your home, for your shelter, for your jobs, and never ever actually knowing what is going to happen next? Speak up in an appropriate way and demonstrate a righteous anger, as I'm doing here. Jesus was kind, but he also knew when was the right time to speak up. Christ has taught me that. I learned it the hard way by saying terrible things on social media that left many to not trust me, let alone unfriend me. I needed that realization. It humbled me and it helped me to focus on my true beliefs and change the hardcore person that I was. And it also taught me how to speak up in a more virtuous way. My heart still pounds as I wrote this because it hurts me and it makes me mad. I don't have my sisters or brother anymore. And if someone came to me and said, You sure your brother only found out about his cancer a few months before he died? I would have to look at them in the face and say, you have no idea what another goes through. And even if you did, and even if he did, why do you care? Why do you care when he found out he had cancer? Maybe he didn't want others to know. Maybe at his age, he was just trying to live out the rest of his life without the cancer cloud hanging above it. That is why I said, let me read this, because that point right there is the reason why I say, who are we to ever judge when Biden was supposed to tell us something? There is nothing like finding out that you have a deadly illness. I can't even explain that. And when you do find out, what is that like? Because I don't know. I've only been around others that I love so much. And I know for a fact that my sister, she really didn't want anybody to know until it started affecting her appearance. So, I am going to go back here. Maybe he was at an age, he was just trying to live out the rest of his life without the cancer cloud hanging above it. A person who suffers from cancer has their own way of finding it, and it's nobody's business to decide their reason why. So shame on anyone for thinking that they can judge why Biden didn't tell anyone. It's called dignity in the face of death. No matter what your status, if you have a terminal illness, how would you face the world when people are already making fun of you? You are all bullies for doing this. Not you guys. If you're listening to me, you're probably okay, I think. But the bullies that are out there are terrible for making fun of him for stating it when he did. And they are part of the reason the atrocity in the nation now is happening. And they are showing others that you accept this way of living. As you follow someone who circulates this to our country, you begin to take on those Machiavellian ways. You'll have to look that one up, Machiavellian. It's pretty interesting, and you'll know who I'm referring to when you read about what a Machiavellian disorder means. And soon, before you realize it, you'll see that it has no limits and it will be used against you too. That is not the way to live, but who am I to tell you this? Maybe you like the idea of making fun of elderly people or people of color, and you laugh because why? Ask yourself why you would do this. Then put your face on social media with a deadly disease and listen to the whispers of, I bet she had it all along. I bet he couldn't handle telling people. Listen to the whispers, listen to the deceit. Even the strongest person will feel hurt by it, and so will their family. These are real people, and remember, your life can take a turn at any moment, or worse, that of your loved ones. Then remember, if you are without sin, throw the first stone at the person you're making fun of. The name for that is hypocrite. John 8:7. And if you think your sins aren't as bad as someone else's, regardless of their status, try telling your child, spouse, partner, or friend that when you see the hurt in their eyes because you did something that made them feel 2 inches tall, and ask them to compare their pain to that of someone in an elite position. Pain has no margins. It can attack anytime. I've gone through plenty of pain, but I'm using it now to help others. Still, it does not mean I don't feel it, even long after the loss. God allowed me to go through it all to show I can make it and stand up and speak up for the right things the right way. That's my rant, and it feels darn good because there is a wide gap of economic and social status from what I do for a living and what the person who wrote that post does and who they are. Why is the social status brought up? To show you that no matter the status or the authority, a person needs to be called out for showing your community they are lacking morals and integrity. It's also to show you that those of us who are not in positions of prominence can speak in perhaps a more realistic and empathetic sense. And we can better connect with others because we're not like them. I truly care, and I don't hesitate to show it and speak about it. I'm getting older with less years, so I want to share my experiences and thoughts in hopes it inspires more to stand up to the bullies of this world. I'll never speak ill about a person who suffers from cancer, even if I didn't agree with how they operated a business or a nation. To me, that says a lot about the person who does, and whom they follow, and who follows them. Is that the person you really want to be associated with? God be with the person and their family who may get cancer and chooses when to talk about it. And finally, God be with us. May He show us when and what to say for His glory. Thank you so much for listening. 21 minutes. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate it very much. That was one of the, I want to say, the hardest videos and posts I've written. But on the other hand, it really wasn't, because it was truth. And I do want you to go out there and speak up more in the most eloquent and best way possible, because that's what our world needs more of. Speaking up for those that cannot speak, and doing it in the right way possible, and limiting that division that we have now going on in our nation. Thank you so much. Please share and subscribe. Share this with someone whom you think needs to hear it. And God bless you all. Remember to ask Jesus to come into your heart and your soul, because with Him, anything is possible. He will not take those things away, but He sure will walk with it, walk through you with it. So, thanks so much. We'll talk to you guys soon. See ya.